Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Squads for Noobs series. It's been a while since I did one, and I want to start making more of them to cover a lot of the teams I haven't covered. But today we're talking about Imperial Troopers, specifically the Veers Troopers lineup, not Iden Troopers. And this, when people refer to Imperial Troopers, they're usually talking about the Veers turn meter train team. It is a turn meter train. What I'm going to be talking about today is an overview of the abilities of each character, Zeta Order priority, Relic priority, mods, all that kind of stuff, counters, what they're going to be. So lots of stuff. What I have showing here is just the core 4 to the team. The absolute core that you use in 3v3 is Veers, Piett, and Dark Trooper. Dark Trooper is the damage. Veers is the lead that gives the mechanism by which you can get a ton of turn meter, and Piett keeps it going with Emperor's Trap. Range in 5v5 is best suited for this team. I mean, he's great on Iden too, but he causes extra assists. And then there's a lot of other options. Common choice is Moff Gideon, but I'm not going to be using him in this video because I don't think he's optimal for the turn meter train element of it. One of his biggest advantages is taking away turn meter from everyone, including your own team, to get going. That can help. If he goes first instead of Piett, you're going to start 25% turn meter on everybody. But that's not always optimal. Like on a Darth Revan team, you're not going to want to do that, which is a common use of Imperial Troopers. And his Demoralize is better suited for battles where you're going to be taking hits. And the goal is to not take hits, so we're not going to use him. Scout Trooper is also great, really good, but takes Chirotech, and she's accelerated now, but she goes more with Imperial Remnant, so we don't see that as much. I'm just going to go with Starck because he's the most common, easiest to obtain, low maintenance, don't need a ton on him. I don't absolutely need his Zeta. I have it. This is my main account, so I have like all the Zetas, but there's not two. This is a Zeta Light team, so it's very friendly. I'm going to go over the characters in overview in order of importance to the team, starting with Piett, then Veers, and Dark. Veers only getting the nod because you need his lead. Dark is damage, but you can make something work without the tons of damage from Dark Trooper. So let's get into Piett. Actually, I'm calling an audible on that. I'm going to start with Veers just to show the framework under which the team works. So the biggest thing is his leadership ability. So it's some offense, yeah, it's speed, but the biggest thing is 10% turn meter whenever an Imperial Trooper ally gains a buff. So we're going to be trying to generate as many buffs as possible. That's where Piett's going to come in. That's why I wanted to show this first. But just generate buffs on the team, keep the turn meter chain going, and also the unique. The unique has the Zeta. It's a good one. I'll talk about it where it falls in the order. Without the Zeta, when an enemy is defeated, they have an 80% chance to gain offense up and a 40% chance to gain 50% turn meter. So the Zeta comes in at making that a 100% chance to gain turn meter and offense up. So the Zeta is an important one. I don't go into that deeper. The crit chance is nice. Doesn't matter for Dark Trooper, the main damage, but it's just you're generating turn meter. And I love his kit because it's old, it's simple, but it's very effective. It's just nowhere near as complex as a lot of these newer kits. This is an AoE. It can inflict ability block across the board, but the main thing is a mass assist, like a swarm, giving a big chance to get a kill. And it does extra damage with rebels there, but they deal less damage, but it's still everyone attacking, generating a lot of buffs and damage. And his basic is kind of whatever. He could give speed up to Veers and a random Imperial Trooper ally, so it is good if he is getting an assist in there. It's not the worst, but he's not your choice member to start assisting. And now we'll talk about Piett, which is the most important member of the team to keep it going. And that's all about Emperor's Trap. So this is going to be, I'll just say, I'm not talking about Zeta Order yet, but this is going to be the first Zeta you put on. And this is giving out Emperor's Trap. Without this, he just has some counter chance and gains some turn meter when Empire allies take damage. What the Zeta does, it gives out the buff Emperor's Trap with great generosity. 6% offense and potency per stack. There's no limit to this. You can have hundreds and hundreds of stacks. I'm sure someone out there has gotten to over 1,000 stacks at some point, even on video. I don't know. To show me that video if it exists. But whenever an Emperor ally begins a turn, attacks out of turn, they gain a stack of Emperor's Trap. So, like Veers assist, everyone's getting Emperor's Trap, and then everyone's getting 10% turn meter for getting the buff. And that's the big deal with Emperor's Trap. It's a must-have for the team, and you get it going. What you want to do, the lead, we're not going to talk about. I've never seen this used effectively. It's just not really doing much. The first move with Piett is usually going to be to mark someone that you want to be assisting the most, usually Dark Trooper. But you use Imperial Ambition. It marks them like they're taking hits, and it can be defensive. Like when you put him with Lord Vader, I put it on Lord Vader, so Lord Vader can tank. But here, we're just trying to get extra assists because the basic calls allies with inevitable failure. So your target gets marked, inevitable failure, and everyone gets offense up. For a couple turns. And inevitable failure, what it does, like you hopefully never have this like actually apply because you want your team to stay alive, but it gives Piett boosts based on how many stacks. If they got all the way up to 20, he's going to get a massive 100% max health and protection, 30% offense, and 25% speed. And that actually comes into play some. Like Piett can do his AoE and do a ton of damage. I've seen it like really turn a battle around that looked really bad, but that's not the main objective. But the objective, like I said, is to call assists to that ally. You're also going to call another random ally, so you can end up calling Dark Trooper like twice, or Dark Trooper and someone else, and that just generates a lot of damage for the team, and it's pretty great. The AoE, it's a dispel on light side enemies only. Don't get that mixed up. It's not going to dispel on dark side. But it does inflict daze to all enemies if you have the Zeta. If you don't have the Zeta, which I think it's pretty optional, it's just a dispel and giving some inevitable failure out. But with the Zeta, it's a reduced cooldown, daze, and if it defeats an enemy, you inflict fear on all enemies for 1 turn. So he's like the only other character other than Darth Revan that can inflict AoE fear, which is pretty cool. Next up, we got the heavy hitter himself, Dark Trooper. He's going to be generating most of your damage. Very unique character, kind of like B1 in that he has stacks. He doesn't have 100, he has 4. Then they're all worth 25% of his health and protection. He can't be destroyed, so that means like if Nihilus uses Annihilate, it's not going to kill him. You just lose a stack of Dark Trooper. For each stack of Dark Trooper he's doing extra damage on his basic, like extra instances of damage. So if he just dies, he loses a stack. He's got defense for each stack, and he can't be critically hit, and he cannot be revived. The only place the revive clause really comes into play is under Dark Trooper Moff Gideon when you're trying to, or like with Imperial Remnant when you're trying to revive, or on Dathomir for Rise of the Empire TB. But yeah, can't be crit. The best thing about him is his basic. It looks simple. Deal physical damage to enemy once for each stack of Dark Trooper. And it can't critically hit. So when this came out, when people were reading the kit, it didn't stand out as so amazing. It was like, okay, you can't crit. But this basic does so much damage even without critting. If you have advantage, you are going to crit, and that's going to be insane. But generally, you mod him for crit for just offense. I have him modded differently right now for a specific counter, so I'll talk about that too. The specials, you use them in limited circumstances. Most of the time you're just trying to do more damage, so you just throw out the basic. There are instances where you use the other specials. So for this one, Imperial Trooper allies gain 10% turn meter for each stack of Dark Trooper. If you're looking at all the turn meter bars and they're not very full and an enemy is going to take a turn, that's when I use this. I'll give 30 or 40% turn meter to everybody. Give offense up for extra turn meter. And that's Imperial Remnant allies only. Yeah, so that's just going to be him and, I don't know, if you have Moff Gideon. So you're giving turn meter, that's the main thing there. This is an attack that can crit. Like, I thought it was, for the longest time, I thought it was in his kit. He just can't crit overall unless he has advantage. That's just the basic. So this can get a crit. That plays into the special sortie droids counter to, I don't know, it's like a nuke counter at this point in time with a special datacron that's going to go away. So that's why I don't want to talk about it so much. But otherwise, you want to do this to recover stacks of Dark Trooper, but it is a Zeta, so It's not crazy good. It is giving out advantage, which can set him up for big damage. So that's mainly the only other reason you'd want to use it. Range Trooper. Oh, I don't have a mod on him. I'll have to fix that in a second. But he is there because of his unique mainly. So yeah, tenacity is nice. But while he is active, Imperial Trooper allies have a 50% chance to call another buffed ally to assist when they use an ability during their turn, doing less damage. So this is an ever-present potential for calling an assist. Hopefully it's Dark Trooper, but all the basics do something good. Actually, hopefully it's Piett, because Piett will call Dark Trooper to assist too. So there are two ways to call Dark Trooper, is either calling Dark Trooper or Piett if you have Dark Trooper marked. So that's pretty great. You also can recover protection, give protection up with this special, and give out retribution. So that's extra buffs and extra survivability, extra banner recovery. Another reason he's so important, especially in Grand Arena. And another random ally attacks and range trooper assists. Then the basic, pretty simple. You know, just nothing special. Deals more damage if he's buffed. So he's very valuable. Calling the assist is huge. It gets the Terminator train going even further and gives you extra chances to get some kills. Starck, his best advantages. Well, he's got something to offer everywhere. So his unique has a Zeta. So without the Zeta, it's just going to recover some health and give some armor penetration. The armor penetration definitely helps for Dark Trooper. Dark Trooper has high defense penetration to begin with. But this big thing is remove 1% turn meter from all enemies for each active Empire ally, doubled for Imperial Trooper allies. So when you have a full team of Imperial Troopers, 10% turn meter removed. They can't resist this, and it's kind of a good argument for potency. I don't have potency, but I don't really use Starck much on this account. Another reason you do want potency is this AoE. You got a 50% chance to stagger. It's a dispel on the primary target. Does more damage for Imperial Trooper allies to reduce the cooldown of 1 for each Imperial Trooper ally. So the AoE stagger is nice. It's not 100% chance, and then even they can resist it. So I see like 1 or 2 each time. So it's not a huge deal. This special, you want to save this for when you might need an extra little turn meter boost. Like if everyone is at full turn meter, I don't use this. But it gives out crit chance up, crit damage up, and then he gains some turn meter for each Emperor ally and Rebel enemy. But those are 2 buffs that you're not getting on the team any other means. It doesn't really matter for Dark Trooper because he's not going to crit anyway unless he does his AoE. But everyone else can crit. But the main thing is that is buffs. That are different buffs that everyone gets. So that's like 20-30% turn meter on that move. And then the basic defense down. Double damage if they're debuffed. Defense down is pretty helpful from time to time. Helps everyone do more damage. So that's the last character I'm talking about. And time to talk about Relic Order and Zeta Order. So, Relic Order for this team. I think if we're talking about the team in a vacuum, you definitely want Dark Trooper first in Relics. He does more damage based on his Relics mastery, his damage and defense penetration. The more damage, the harder he's hitting, and he is the main damage engine. In reality, most people have Piett Relic first because they're going for Executor. But in a vacuum, Dark Trooper is the most important Relic. You can get away without him at Relics in most cases, like until you're in, like, I don't know, a Rhodium or lower Kyber. He's doing a lot of damage for me at gear 11 on my GoTix account, so it's up to you. And then Piett, definitely. The rest of them are all pretty equivalent. Like, it's not a big deal either way. I'd probably just go Veers just because he's going to be on the team in 3v3. But then the other two, it really is a toss-up. It doesn't really matter. They each do kind of a middling amount of, like a low middling amount of damage. Not a big deal. So it's just about survivability mainly. So pretty easy, pretty cut and dry for the Relic Order. Zeta Order, I said earlier, the absolute first priority is Emperor's Trap. So Piett's unique, that gives lots of turn meter. And then Veers, unique. This is extra turn meter gain chance when someone dies. This is and I say that's the second because that's the biggest thing that keeps it going. Because the buffs go only so far, and then getting the kills gives you that 50% turn meter and really keeps things going. So those are the first 2, and you can honestly stop there in most cases. Like, you do not need to push for more. Tied for number 3 is between Starck and Piett. So you can either get the AoE Daze from Piett and the Fear when you get a kill, or you can get the turn meter removal. If you're playing on thin margins of turn meter and like the other team, I don't know, is getting close occasionally, like is very often getting close to taking turns, you probably want the Starck Zeta just for that extra insurance of removing some turn meter, not just gaining your own turn meter. Sounds pretty nice. Dark Troopers, I think, is completely optional. You can regain stacks of Dark Trooper, but you can only go back up to 3. So it only really matters if you get down to 2. So in this lineup, it's like if you're playing it optimally, that's not going to have any role at all because you'll stay at 4 the whole time. And so yeah, that is Relic and Zeta Order. Pretty cut and dry, pretty simple for this team. So what about mods? What about turn meter, turn order, and mods? I'm going to look at my mods, and I'm going to look at Swigga.gg's mods and compare, because I'm not going to have the optimal mobs in all cases. So Piett, you want the fastest, and you mainly just care about speed on him. I put some crit damage on him just because that's probably the fastest triangle mod I had available. I don't really care too much about the primaries, and you'll see that probably on Swigga.gg as well. Man, I feel so blessed to have all these gold mods. Yeah, health, protection, I don't think it really matters. I think it'll be a pretty even split. You don't choose there. But it's just speed. You want him to be the fastest in most cases. Then you want someone to bridge the gap, as it were, like someone that's fast enough to take a turn after he goes and mark. So he's gonna go mark Dark Trooper, then someone else is gonna go. It might be Veers for me. I'm not sure. I have only plus 110 speed. Like after the first turn, the amount of speed on everyone else isn't that big a deal. You want someone to be able to go before an enemy player goes or enemy character goes, but they don't all need to be like over 300 speed, because after the first move, it's all about turn meter gains. It's not about speed. So I have just 110 speed on him. Also, doesn't matter a ton what you do. You could probably mod for potency here and there. I do have potency on the cross, but he's not a high priority for me anymore. So I don't have him like loaded up with potency. Dark Troopers all offense. Offense, offense, offense. Not crit damage, not crit chance, just offense. Just as much offense as you can get. Doesn't even have to worry about speed. I have him modded differently for a special counter to a team at one point in time. I have crit chance because I need him to do an AoE in crit. But so that is a example of what not to do. Range Trooper, I like giving him protection if I can. You know, speed is fine, but it's not like a big deal. So it's cool because it's very forgiving. I just threw the mod on in between clips of this. Tenacity, I got protection here, offense. He's a low priority for me, so right now he's just getting whatever is left over from other characters. Same with Starck. I mean, he's got I have him modded for offense, but it's not a huge deal either way. Get like 100 or so speed on him, and it's gonna be just fine. Like 270 is pretty all right. But like I said, the speed isn't gonna matter after that first turn. And now let's look at what the majority of the competitive player base is using. So here we are on Swigga.gg looking at the mods pulled from the top 1,000 Kyber players in Swigga. So actually my main account does factor into this, so I might be screwing up some of the curve. So Piett, people are using speed and health sets, most popularly speed, protection, and potency on those. So speed and health is used by almost 50%. I think it's just because people have the most flexibility with their health sets, and they probably have a lot of high speed health sets. But the common denominator here is speed. Like people are either using plain speed or just one of those. You only need 2 mods to fill the secondary set. And we got potency, quick chance, tenacity, but it's all about speed. Speed. 97% are using speed. I don't know who else is using protection. I don't know why. But it's a pretty even split on the triangle. Like I said, I don't care too much what it is. Protection's very popular because protection is really, I don't know, it's a nice benefit to anyone. He has a pretty decent protection pool. Crit damage, offense, crit chance. Like every option is in double digits, and that's not super common. That's definitely an indicator that it's that it doesn't matter too much. And defense is the least popular one anyway. Like people like get rid of their defense spawns more often. Protection health, there is a slight edge towards protection, but it's not a huge difference. And then the cross is potency, protection, or potency is the favorite. After that, it kind of evens out a bit. Protection is kind of popular too, but the potency for landing the days is really the only thing. Veers, well, people are using crit damage and crit chance. I am actually very surprised by that. But I guess you don't need him. Like I was saying, you don't need tons of speed. So, but that is used by only 14%. So that's what it is. It's not a very. There's no huge consensus. So there's crit damage. 12.91% use speed, crit chance. 10% use speed and health. 8.8% crit damage. So some people are modding it for offense, and that I guess that kind of makes sense. Like, if the speed doesn't matter too much, you give just a damage boost. Speed, pretty dominant. Offense is up there too. Crit damage, yeah, people are trying to give more crit damage for more, just more punch. Protection, 70% heavily favored. And then across, pretty favored to offense. So yeah, this character I was more wrong on. People are going more for offense. So I'll reevaluate myself and maybe go for that. Dark Trooper. This might be a little screw too, because it is popular right now to do that counter. But it's offense. So offense and health, because crit chance doesn't really matter too much. It's used by 40% right now. This is the people running that counter, like where it's juicing up its crit damage all the time. It's a Datacron. It doesn't. Chances are, when you watch this video in the future, it doesn't exist. People right now probably know what I'm talking about. Common denominator is offense. Arrow, not even too worried about speed. Just give him offense. He needs to hit hard. Triangle, offense. If people are running crit chance, like I have a crit chance right now, that's not normal. But it's like, see, 0.74, like 0%, like 0 point percentages. That's why Piett is abnormal, because everything's in the double-digit percentages. Protection to health, a pretty even split, and offense dominant. Very easy modding scheme for him. Range, okay, people are using speed on him, so not like Veers. Or it's kind of a similar thing. It's just he's been edged out with the speed sets. 15% use that, 11% are still using the crit damage. Like actually, crit damage and offense sets are more popular on the whole. More people are choosing damage sets over speed sets. Speed is still dominant on the arrow, as with 90% of characters. Crit damage, offense. Yeah, so people are trying to just squeeze out more damage. More protection than health. The offense protection. So, yeah, people are going for the damage. And last is Starck. Surprised to see that potency is not the most popular, but it is 27% are going for speed. Or everyone's using speed. So I think a lot of people use Starck as their bridge gap character, because I think he is faster than Veers. So he can give out more buffs, maybe make sure everyone gets their turn, and then you're off to the races. But speed is the common denominator here. Speed, crit damage, crit chance. People are going for extra punch. Heavily favored to protection. That's interesting. And potency, like I said, followed by offense. So that makes sense. I think it doesn't matter too much, because in most cases you're getting around to doing the damage anyway with Dark Trooper. So the rest of these characters are just kind of mindless thralls to use abilities, and their stats aren't as imperative. Because even survivability stats, if you make it work right, you're not going to take hits. But yeah, that's it for Swigga.gg mods. Now time to look at some of the teams that they counter, and we're going to look at what teams beat them. It's a lot of teams. They're not going to. But I'm excited for this edition of Squads for Noobs, because I have GIC Insight now, and I can filter out Kyber. So I'm filtering out all the heavy Datacron usage. Once you get below Kyber, Datacrons are much less prevalent. So even Erodium, like, it's not a huge deal. So what people are using, let's filter by Piett, Dark, and Range. So I'll leave the 5th member open. So some people are using Starck, some are using Moff Gideon. Very popular Geonosian counter. It's like 95%. Night Sisters, pretty shaky, 60 to 63%. You have to go first. And I would say the Zeta on Piett is pretty mandatory here because you need to daze them because Talzin, Old Daka, and I think Asajj too gain turn meter when their allies are falling below half health or full health. So you need to stop that, and that is a big impact there. People are using them on Ewoks to great success, bounty hunters. General Grievous, coin flip. Without Marin, that goes up to 97%. So beware. Bad Batch crushing it. Phoenix without Rex. Darth Revan. So Darth Revan is a tricky counter. So they're not going to be able to beat Malgus. But Darth Revan, even with Malak, is a potential. You basically got to avoid hitting Malak with AoEs or anything until you are ready to go in for the kill blow. So you try to kill sides like Bastila Shan, Marauder, HK, and then build up a big hit, a swarm or something, and try to kill Malak. Dark Trooper does a lot of damage to Malak because he's not critting, and, you know, he's not going to get feared, but it's a toss-up. You need to go first. If you don't go first, you're just toast. Bounty Hunters, easy. Mon Mothma, 98%. It's a very good counter rate. Even Phoenix with Rex, 62%. Zori has a chance when they have 77%. Again, you got to go first. You got to be checking. I don't know how anyone's going to be beating a Traya Savage Omicron team. I'm guessing the wins are without that. General Skywalker, pretty much a no-go. So there's a lot of stuff. They counter a lot of teams you're going to see very frequently. Jedi Knight Revan, if you're going first. Shakti clones. So they are just very flexible on offense. They're a great team. They're not GL beaters, really. They used to beat Sith Eternal, but then they buffed Sith Eternal to counter that, like specifically because of them. But they're most of your run-of-the-mill teams. There's a lot of options. I would check Swig.gg, even if you don't have insights. Check anyway. So that's what they're gonna beat. And what are people using to beat them? So I'm just gonna filter by Starck, so we're only seeing one instance of every team over here. So CLS, easy. You stun Piett, and then you get your turn meter going yourself, and then you can kind of route them. Wampa, kind of a toss-up. 73%, you know, that's pretty good. I would just double check. Speeds, and if your Wampa is strong, if he's like low gear, probably not going to work. Gas is an easy win. Grievous, pretty dominant. Geo's no-go. Other Imperial Troopers, so that's funny. 96%. If you're going first, then you're going to win. People are winning more with Moff Gideon than they are Colonel Starck. Bad Batch, kind of shaky. Darth Revan, yeah, if you're going first, you're going to make it work. Radis, big counter because he dazes Empire. And they're all Empire, and then they can't go anywhere. Padme, interesting. So I think a lot of these losses are probably timeouts. If they get going and never stop, even if they're not killing them, they're gonna lose that. Phoenix is a counter. If Rex is fast enough, he's gonna daze everyone. Daze is a hard shutdown to the whole team. So there's a lot of options to beat them too when they're on defense, but it's not very common. Like, look at these instances of battles. This is not many for across all of Iridium, Chromium, Bronze. I guess I didn't add this extra divisions. But yeah, the numbers are still low. So definitely an offense team primarily. I would say only offense. You can do what you want. And now it's my favorite part of these Squads for Noobs videos. I'm going to be testing them out or doing a demonstration in Galactic Challenges. This is a good Galactic Challenge because the enemy is pretty weak. The way I place them, I place Dark Trooper in the second slot just so it's easier to target him. Because anytime we target, we're going to be targeting him. So get to go first. That's a big deal. I'm scouting their turn meter. Heath Koth is going to go second, but watch the turn meter after we give this over. So here's something to think about. Mace, you got to be careful for counterattacks, especially because we're marking Dark Trooper. We're going to try to play it so that they never get a turn, but if we do have counterattacks, it's going to be easy to kill stacks of Dark Trooper. Mace Windu, in this particular example, if we hit someone else, he's going to get resilient defense and have counter chance. So even though I'm not using an attack move, ranged trooper can call an assist. So I'm going to target Mace while I'm doing this, because if we do assist, you don't want him to get counter chance. Okay, so that didn't happen. Let me look at the turn meter. I have range pretty full. Everyone's pretty full except Piett, so I don't need to use this. I'm full on stacks. I'll just basic. Most of the time, you want to pick basic with him. Keller and Beck also has counter chance, so I don't want to target him. You know, I don't know. I don't want to do the AoE because I don't want counter attacks from Keller and Beck on Dark Trooper. I don't necessarily need so much turn meter, but I'll do it anyway just to get Dark going a little bit. So I am going to do an AoE here. I want to try and take out Keller and Beck because he has counter chance. It might work, it might not. Okay, we got him. See, mass assist, huge for taking people down. Now, Mace Windu has resilient defense, and he has counter chance. So the best way to kill someone that has counter chance is to call assist with Piett, who's under stealth, or use non-attacking specials that might call an assist. So I'm going to use range as special, and I call Piett to assist. And even if he stayed alive, I don't think he would have countered unless it counts the assist from range because it's his turn. But see, that was best case scenario. We called Piett to assist. He also called a Dark Trooper to assist. Beautiful. I wouldn't use the special unless you have a reason for it. There's no buffs to be dispelled. They're not getting turn meter. So the best way to do a lot of damage is the basic. Because you'll call Dark Trooper to assist. There you go. Mowing them down. They got some turn meter. You know, I don't have any counter-attacking enemies anymore, I don't think. So I'll just pull that. Didn't work. Or didn't land anything. Not too surprising. Boop. And he has like a recovery life. And then yeah, just basics. Look at these stacks. We're up to 25. So that was starting to do very good damage. And that's like a textbook example of how you use them when it works. In a team, you don't want the enemy to take any turns. So this was, I think, was a great demonstration for it. And that's it. That is Imperial Troopers for Noobs, Veers Troopers. Hope this helps a lot of people. I think there's a lot of ways to mess it up, so I do think this video it's warranted. I can't believe I didn't do Troopers earlier, but thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye.